As you guys have probably seen on my channel, me and my Discord have been trying to work on a Automaker application. This is basically a fully autonomous tool that can build out your projects. You basically just give it a high-level prompt, you let it generate all the features for you, and you kick it off, and it could just run continuously using Claude Code to build out your application. And I've been making videos about it. The repo is in private, but today we are making the repository public for you all to kind of play around with and try out for yourself if you want. And guys, before we dive in, please go to the repo. I'll put a link in the description and a pinned comment. Go and give us a star. That'll show your support. Maybe we can keep on building upon this and make it into something really, really cool that a lot of the people in the community would love to use to build out their full stack applications. Now, right now, there are no Electron builds. We're trying to get that working, but we do have a way to run it locally. So if you go and install this and run it, you can actually start playing around with Automaker. I would say this is still beta. There's still a lot of stuff we need to fix. There's some stuff we need to test and also use at your own risk. Again, this is running Claude Code under the hood. It's using the Claude Code Agent SDK to basically run, and that has access to your file system to do things. So read through the code, read the disclaimer, use at your own risk, but we've been using it all the time to try to build out various applications. So let me walk you through some of the things we made. So the first thing is we have a cool automaker.app site. So if you go here, you can actually scroll through. We got some decent marketing pages. We have the Automaker demo video. We have these cool features where you can actually change the background colors of your Kanban boards. You can create features. You can actually kick those off to in progress. The agents will start running them and building and updating your code base as we speak. And I'll show an actual Electron demo in just a second. You can actually see like the agent output as it's churning through your features. You can change some themes. We have custom themes that basically allow you to change on the fly what you want. And these are project based. So like I typically work on a bunch of projects at the same time. And so I make a different theme and a background color for every project. And I can quickly switch through them. And I can remember like, okay, I'm on this project. I'm on my Automaker project, or I'm on my Agentic Jumpstart.course project, which by the way, if you want to learn any of the things that we did in this application and how to build this, we built this in like a week with our team, all using Claude Code and LLMs. I have an agenticjumpstart.com course where I walk you through how to use Claude Code efficiently, how to use Cursor. I have over 70 videos right now. I'm going to add more, over 11 hours of content, teaching you how to use these tools, how to use these models. When do you want to use Gemini 3 for UI stuff? When do you want to use Opus 4.5 for the logical and the building out of the features and the planning? We got a ton of stuff. And also, we are going to be building out a full stack application in the 4th module, where I actually build out an entire application using TanStack Start. We got Drizzle ORM, we got Postgres, we got ShadCN with components. Good stuff. 4 hours of building out an actual thing and getting it fully deployed out. You'll see here I have a deploying segment where I actually show you how to get this deployed out to Railway, and also getting your Postgres database set up in Railway. But again, this whole landing page was built using agentic coding. We use Gemini 3 and some other approaches to make this look pretty nice. And we have some good copyright. A little bug right there. I got to fix that. I need some padding right there. Now, I do want to say we have a Discord. This is a free to join Discord where we are actually discussing features and working on this Automaker together. So if you want to join and be part of a community and maybe contribute, go join the Discord. The link is here, and you can talk to us there. And if we scroll down, we have the 4 core contributors who have basically been building out this project. We have me, we have Super Combo Gamer, we have Catspur, we have Ben Scott. So go check them out. Go check out their GitHub repos. They've been doing some great work on this project. And yeah, let me just go ahead and start with showing you the project. So if you go to the repo, you clone it, and you do an npm install in a npm run dev, that should give you an option to basically run the project. So let me go over to the project over here. And I have the project cloned already, so let's do an npm run dev, and that's going to ask you, do you want to run it in web mode, or if you want to run it with the desktop application with Electron. So I'm going to say Electron, and I'm going to give you a full demo of how this thing kind of works and why I think you guys should be playing around with this and trying it out. Okay, so what's the point of this project? The point is you can hook up all of your projects or create new ones and have Claude Code basically work through features autonomously. Okay, so for example, I have my Agentic Jumpstart course over here. If I go to that, I can view all of my features that I want to get added, and I can potentially just drag this in progress, and Claude Code will start implementing that. I can switch over to my Automaker project, and then again, I can do the same thing. So the great thing about this is when you have multiple projects, you can easily just switch back and forth between them if people were to kind of request changes. Instead of you having to go and like load up the repo and then load up Cursor in your IDE and then prompt it with a Claude Code terminal or whatever, you can just load it up here and just go ahead and make a new feature. Like for example, let's say we want to add something new to Automaker. I'll make a new feature here. Can you add a feature so that I can delete Kanban features from the Kanban list? Go ahead and do this, and I can just do that. I can search for it, delete, and then I'm going to go back and edit it. We have the ability to select different run modes. So if you wanted to do an Opus or Sonnet or a Haiku, you can do that. You can add in a thinking level as well. And then we also have the way to add in automated testing. So instead of it just trying to do its best to add the feature, you can tell it to playwright tests along the way. So it can actually do test-driven development in a sense to add the feature and verify that it works before it automatically moves it to this verified column. Now there's some other great features that we can talk about. For example, we have this cool terminal that you can actually just load up a terminal and I can actually start doing whatever I want right here inside of Automaker. So if I want to kind of like restart the API, I could just, let's see if I can find the port for this. I could see the node process. I could just go ahead and kill it if I want, and that'll probably just destroy this Electron instance. So we got a terminal built into this. We can actually make new terminals. We can split the terminals. This is a crazy application. We got some crazy stuff going on here. I think we can drag terminals around. So shout out to Super Combo Gamer for adding this in. I think this is going to be a very valuable tool to basically be able to work on these various projects locally without having to go and load up your Cursor IDE or VS Code or whatever, the way you like to do it, okay? Now, let me give you a walkthrough. There's other stuff too. I'm not going to walk through all the features because I think you should guys play around with it. Let's make a brand new project. I'm going to go here, click New, and I'm going to select a certain workspace. So I'm going to go and make sure I have the Automaker workspace set up. Let's go to Automaker workspace. Here we go. I'm going to make a new project here. This will be the base directory, and here will be like my cooking site. So let's pretend like we want to be able to track some recipes that I found online. And I actually want to start with a starter kit. So I'm going to go starter kit. And we have 2 starter kits here. But if you have any GitHub repo, you can actually just add in a custom template repo and it'll clone it. And then it'll start analyzing it to figure out how the project is set up. And then it'll create features based on the existing code base. So this is great if you want to add this to an existing project, or if you just want to do a completely blank project and then let it build from scratch, you can do that. Let's do Agentic Jumpstart. And I'm going to just let this bring in a TanStack start application from the get-go. And now we have a project that's going to be set up. So I'm going to say create an app spec. This is basically creating a file that describes everything in the project and also all the features that you plan to add in. So here I'm going to say, I need to create an application for people to track the recipes that they want to cook at their house and maybe plan, have a calendar to figure out what days we should be cooking what recipes, keep track of an ingredients list so we can go to the store to buy stuff when we probably are low. We can mark stuff as used so it automatically removes stuff from the ingredients list when we cook. I'm going to switch it to 20 features because it's faster. If you do 100, it'll sit here for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes making all these features. And let's just go ahead and generate the spec. That's going to kick off the spec generation process, which over here, there's a spec editor, which eventually this will get kind of initialized with a bunch more implementation details and stuff. Okay, and you can tell this is just a template, but you'll see up here generating specification. And if you go to the Kanban board, we are generating a bunch of backlog features. So for the 20 features, it takes about 30 seconds. But again, you can still start just manually creating features if you want to, if you have like a good vision of what your project wants to do. And there we go. It's all done. You can scroll through here. We have 20 different features. Let's look at some of them. Implement server functions and UI components for creating, editing, and deleting organizations. And organizing recipe collections include adding and removing recipes from a collection. Okay, so pretty cool. And we also go to the spec editor and you'll see this got updated. The spec editor is what describes your entire project. So we have the tech stack here. We got the core capabilities. We got implemented features. So it kind of like looked through the project and it already figured out what we have. And then we have some additional requirements that it's going to try to add in. Okay, and then it kind of builds them out in phases as well. So let's go back to the Kanban board. And I'm going to go ahead and just kick off auto mode. So we can actually just move this slider to 1, and I'm going to say auto mode, and that's going to pull over a feature. So I can literally go off and just go to bed and come back. And as these features get implemented, it'll just pull the next one and start working on it. There's also a manual mode, which honestly I like using a lot too, where you can just click and drag this into it and it'll kick it off. Right now we have the concurrency set to 1, so you can't do it. I'm gonna bump it up to 10. I'm gonna go ahead and drag this over 2, and then it's gonna work on 2 at the same time. Okay, so both of these are actually running agents in the background. If I go to running agents, you'll see these are both running on my code base. Claude Code is gonna try to add those features in at some point. It's gonna finish, and then we have to go through and we have to manually review them, and then we can verify them. And basically just kind of work through our features this way. All right, let's just go ahead and load up the logs for 1. So I'll click 1 and then we can see it's loading up the files. We can go and view changes. If it starts doing get changes, we can actually see them. I don't think it's done any yet. Or you can get the raw output here. Let's go check out number 2. Let's see if this one has actually done anything yet. Now I am going to go load up my cooking site, and we can see that we have the project that Automaker basically set up for us from that GitHub template that I talked about. And if we go to the Automaker folder, it creates a folder in every project. And this is where it tracks, you know, what categories that you selected for your features. It tracks all the features that it's creating. And then inside of each one, we have a features JSON that kind of describes what the feature needs to do, the priority of that feature, etc. Work trees is something that we're working on. We're trying to add support for work trees. So while this is running, let's go to the context editor, and I'm going to add a new context file. I'm just going to say like clean code.md. And then we're going to go to Chrome. I'm going to go to my Agentic Jumpstart course. I'm going to go to agents. This is the new feature we're kind of working on here where people can upload their own prompts. I'm going to copy the markdown and we're going to go back. I'm going to paste this in. We can go ahead and add that file. And now we actually have some context, which when these agents run, it's going to look at, the overview, the very first couple of lines to try to understand what is the purpose of this file. And so when it kicks off and tries to actually add in, for example, this feature, it will now have access to those context files for if I were to run new features. So it can use those to kind of plan out and get more information about your project. So contexts, you can add them in. There's a lot of other cool features we plan to add in. There's AI profiles. So if you want to actually have a custom profile set up, like let's say you want to have like a haiku, high thinking level or something. I don't know if that's even possible. Can you do high thinking with haiku? But anyway, you can make custom profiles. Eventually, we're going to add in other types of tools like codecs. Maybe we can add in the cursor CLI, just hook into various CLI tools that can kind of do the whole like heavy lifting under the hood. And we just put a nice layer on top to make it look and be a little bit more usable. And then finally, we have the agent runner. So if you just want to go and ask a question about your code base, can you describe what tech stack this code base is using? And this is under the hood running the same like Claude Code SDK. And it's giving you access to kind of ask questions. You can even implement features directly in this as well, but I do think this is hard-coded to use the haiku model, so it may not be the best experience. Okay, and then we have an actual output of all the stuff in our project, how it kind of works. Okay, and then when you're done with this, you can just go and archive it, go over here. Let's just, delete some of these things. I got a lot. We should probably have a delete all button because at this point, we don't really need these things archived, right? Now, usually the git changes will show up here. I think it's because it's a brand new project and we probably have to like git add all these first. Let me just try that. Git add all, git commit, initial commit. Hopefully I'll start making changes so we can actually see those. Anyway, I promise this works. We've been testing this stuff out. This is just going to take a while because this feature is kind of big, but eventually it'll kind of get through all your features. You can kick this off and let it run. It's going to use a lot of your tokens, but these features will slowly and eventually get added to your code base. But then you just have to come back with a fine-tooth comb and just kind of improve the UI and fix a couple of bugs that it kind of creates. Right? And that's basically the overview of what me and my Discord community have been building out together. There are bugs. So if you do find one, there's a bug icon up here. You can click it. That'll take you to the Git repo and where you can go and create a new issue. Maybe we can work on it and fix it. So if you find any issues, just go and add a new issue here and we can kind of fix it out. Now, I will say we do take contributions, but this project is not really like MIT or AGPL. This is something that we may potentially monetize in the future. So read the license if you plan to take and try to modify in this code because that's not allowed. But we do allow you to use it to build whatever you want. So you can use Automaker to build out whatever side project that you're looking for. You can monetize the side projects you're building. We just don't want you to grab all the code and basically try to wrap this and ship it as like a different type of Automaker. Now, the craziest thing about this is that we were able to build this in like a week, I believe, like just using Claude Code and Gemini and all these different AI tools. We built this whole marketing page. We built the whole Agentic Jumpstart. Oh, it looks like one of my tasks is done. Let's go back. You hear that little ding noise? We can go back and looks like this one's done. So let's try to see if we have at least a git diff. Let me view the logs here. Yep, so we got a git diff over here. I can go to the actual repo and see that it added a collections here. So it made a new collections page. And you can now read through this code to understand how it kind of works. Now, I haven't run npm installer like ran this project yet, but basically it's going to keep adding features. And then we can actually commit this. So if I wanted to commit all these changes, I can just go and kick this off with commit. And then I can do a git log. Notice that it just implemented server functions and UI components implemented by Automaker auto mode. Okay, so you can commit directly on this project. We're going to add in the ability to push as well. Like maybe we can do git work trees where we can switch different work trees and have it push to work tree and create a pull request for you. But we don't want to completely remove the developer experience away. We want you to still be a developer, but just kind of automate a lot of the process of using agentic coding tools to move fast. Yeah, what was I saying before I got interrupted with that ding? Let's go back. I think I was saying you can check out agenticjumpstart.com if you want to watch through and learn the tips and tricks I learned along the way with agentic coding. The course is right now, I'm going to increase the price in a little bit, but right now it's at a discount. So do act now if you do want to get that lower price. I'm going to raise it up to, I think, probably in the next week or two. So keep that in mind. All right, have a good day and happy coding.